Hello, there you are.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Ah,
Ah. Hi.
hello.
Oh, how are you?
Doing awesome. I had some really good sessions today, and just I've been losing myself in some back end technologies for my business, and it's been a lot of
Mm.
fun learning some new things.
Yes. Isn't that that's the best part.
Yeah,
I think. I find like the design and the technology, like integrating the new technology is so much fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're familiar with Zoho?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
It's so the metaphor that I can give you is like we talk about um, containers, right? Like we create containers for our clients and like containers like this one, like Zoho is all of the plumbing that connect the containers,
Oh wow, very cool.
like the customer relationship management and then everything, all suite of apps that connect the sales pipeline, the funnels, the this, the that, and it's all customizable. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to actually check into that. Just an automated
Hmm.
sequence. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. So I just read your post that you're creating an enterprise. Would you love to share about it? I want to hear.
Sure. Abby, we on? Is this the show? We started?
Yeah, let's just go.
All right. All right. Cool. I love it. So I think to get into it, I'll give you the backstory on some early failures, business failures of like being a big picture dreamer, big picture thinker, and how that didn't serve me, and like where I'm at now with it. So a couple years ago, 3, 4 years ago, it was like the first kind of business venture idea, and like the first leap that I took on one of my ideas, and it was a comic book franchise, and so I got the artists together and created the business entity, and we made a comic book, and but all through the whole time, I was like trying to create a huge business organization, that a business model where I felt the flow of all of these different um, entities all working together, and like the engine of the whole business, um, and it distracted me from like the focus on the comic book, and so we never really got that off the ground as well as I wanted to. Um, and so diving into the software and all of the ways in which this Zoho is like empowering my big picture mind to feel like full faculty utilization. Um, I'm seeing just how big I want to create, with my business, because I have a lot of ideas, and I've always felt alone with ideas, um, and playing with this software and all the apps and stuff. I see how small even my big picture mind was a few years ago, with how kind of monofixated I got as being the artist and the businessman, um, and trying to like I love flow, I love efficiency,
Mm.
and I kind of got lost down that of like, how can we make this super efficient? How can we make this flow, like communication and task management and project management, and uh, making sure everyone was aware of everything else, and like all like got lost in that, uh, because it's like fun for me. I get like my juices get flowing, and so learning about this software, I'm like, oh wow, there's a whole there's a whole vista of like how an
Oh,
organization communicates and how it can all operate. And
Mhm.
I have a lot of, I think, I think you could probably attest to it in terms of delegation and trust, as the visionary, uh,
Mhm.
is you have to trust that your zone of genius is the big picture. And I think,
Mhm.
when you as the entrepreneur feel like you have to do everything, and step outside of that zone and go into the details, and like that's where you kind of get lost, or that's where I get lost.
Mm.
Um, and now I'm like, okay, this is where I want to be. I love the big picture. I love the big picture. Uh,
Yeah.
and
It feels like you could create your own rendition of Zoho.
yes,
And potentially were in your mind in some ways.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
everything that I wish I would have had. Like I wasn't ready for it, but like now it seems like it's like I'm creating that foundation so that a team can grow and communication is effective.
Mhm.
Um, even to the extent of, so the business that I called it, when we made the comic book was, the art and learning expedition.
Mhm.
That's what I called it, because I'll just, if it's okay, I'll give you the quick business model that I was trying to design, but it was just way too big.
Yeah, let's do it.
I believe in art and artists, um, and I always felt that when money and artists are kind of a weird, uh, relationship sometimes.
Mm.
That the starving artist archetype, is so, because it really, like, sometimes it is. It's like, as an artist, you just want to create, and you don't want to worry about anything else of like making it sustainable or all of that. And so I knew that it would take a while to get a art, creative, an entertainment franchise like going.
Mhm.
And I didn't want the comic book to be about the money. I didn't want it to live or die based off of how much money it was making. And so the art learning expedition, as I originally mapped it, was like a collective. Like I love the ship, like the Enterprise, the ship, uh, of artists, but I look at everyone as an artist,
Mhm.
um, where there's a studio component, and the studio is making Mania, the comic book. I don't know if I mentioned the name.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, you mentioned it to me before, so I was
yeah,
aware. But for everybody listening.
yeah. Um, and so I wanted it to be like the art could be the priority, and attention to detail, and no deadlines, and like really just allowing the art to be pure,
Mhm.
and then creating an engine around that, where that's the studio, and then there'd be an agency that would do consulting work, like creative, agency work for other companies and individuals, and have that be like a pipeline of abundance. And then within that, having a what I call the dojo, where it's kind of like like an apprentice model, where the experts would train people and give opportunities to people through these jobs that come through the agency, and then they would get opportunities to create for the franchises that the studio is making.
Mhm.
And then, so that's three of the wings. And then the fourth was like the lab, where it would be like research and development, and things like that. So the ideas would birth from there, and then they would get incubated. Talent would get opportunities to create whatever that idea needed, like talent wise. They would get experience, they would grow up the ranks from the dojo to the studio and the agency. And then, it's just like this whole engine of like how I wanted it to operate, so that the art could be very pure.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, one of the fascinating things about entrepreneurship is I think that at any certain point we make business and abundance our art, a form of art. That has been what has worked for me is to look at that also as an expression of the artistry. So to go in and master those skills and those capacities became like another fun game. And how do
Yes.
I learn as much as I can about all of this and integrate it? Uh, yeah, so that I feel well. There's that you were speaking to the full utilization of your capacities earlier. There's that too. There's such a depth of fulfillment that comes through mastering all of those different systems and skills and abilities that we have and integrating them and fusing them all together, and then having the capacity to go out and share that with others too. So
Mm,
good.
yeah, it is. It is. I didn't pay attention. Well, I was there in business school. Like I went to Chapman for business,
Mhm.
but I don't like most of my school life. I wasn't present. Like I'm a daydreamer, so I was always off somewhere else. Like, but it's like I needed to not know how to business so that I could make the mistakes, and now I can finally feel like I'm learning at in the way that I want to learn. Because like
Mhm.
dancing around in this Zoho suite, uh, business organization management, whatever you want to call it, it's like I'm learning more from just playing around with the knobs and the bells and the whistles,
Yeah.
and learning about like what a sales pipeline actually is.
Mhm.
Like, and just oh, so it starts like you start with leads, and then the leads become contacts, and and then accounts, and like I'm seeing it finally of like how it can grow, how it can grow.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the integrative systems like that are what allow us to scale rapidly.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And if you've got the mind and the desire for it, you could even create one if you're able to see ways to make that more efficient and pleasurable. Uh, that could be a whole nother project that you delve into, depending on how much fun you're having with it.
Yeah, I'm not a
Uh,
programmer, that's for sure.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, you could have the vision and hire a programmer, and that's another thing too. Depending on what your desire is and what your zone of genius is, you can choose to be the visionary, and you can hire incredible artists to
Mhm.
create that and formulate all of that for you, or
Mhm.
you can become very proficient at all of it.
Mhm.
And that happens through experience. I mean, I think we all we all become proficient at anything by experiencing and living it and learning along the way. Okay, this works, this doesn't work, this was more efficient, that was going a bit. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. So I would love to learn more about what you're currently doing in your business. So you and I shared a really powerful session the other night, which was such a huge gift. So I just want to thank you again. I was recently at an Accelerated Evolution Academy, and we spoke to the value when you're a facilitator, the incredible value of receiving and having somebody facilitate for you is such a tremendous gift. It's such a gift. So thank you for
Yes.
cultivating that container to relax into and taking that journey with me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to explore a little bit more about what you currently are offering, and then people can get a better idea as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I do one-on-one work with people
Hmm.
from a range of 3 to 12 months. I've got certain slots available for the shorter versus the long-term container. Um, and then I'm also like one-on-one work in terms of really helping people, the facilitation, the integration, the connection, the flow of, and the magic of imagination, passion, and creativity.
Hmm.
So I look at that trifecta as really the intangible, the magic of creating a dream life, and realizing that the life is a dream, and really doing yeah,
Mhm.
doing the Morpheus thing, and helping people really understand the matrix and be able to unplug and really find their power. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that it all comes from passion and imagination,
Mhm.
which is the fuel for creativity. Um, so that's my private one-on-one work with people, and then I also have another venture with a partner called Empower the Imagination, um, which we're launching May 1st, our first offering called the Virtual Incubator Program,
Mhm.
and that's for anyone that has an idea, vision idea, and they don't know how to bring it to life.
Mhm.
They're stuck, they don't know where to start, they feel too heavy to like take the leap that needs to happen, but they want to bring an idea from their imagination to reality, and we call it manifestation to market. uh,
Mhm.
so that's the virtual incubator program, and Empower the Imagination is an interesting entity, because we've been super transparent throughout the whole process of we're both uh, ADHD all over the place kind of people, and so it has been really interesting to watch two people who can't focus bring something to life, as in the incubator program. So we're both really excited about that. So those are my two offers right now. Um, and then yeah, I've got something else brewing in terms of a brick and mortar uh, vision. Uh, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And a couple of questions are coming through now. And the first one is, do you have any insights on how to support people with accessing their passion? And another one is a question, how do you reconcile timelessness, which we just spoke to the other night, and not being able to focus?
Mm,
So, what does that dance
mm,
feel like for you?
mm. So the first question, how to access more passion. When I feel into that, for the most efficient answer, I look at passion as a fuel. And
Mhm.
the same way that our car, I mean, it's a energetic fuel, so it's not like a car fuel, but the same way that you go to a gas station and there's three different octanes of performance, that's how I look at passion.
Mhm.
So if you're, it's not that it's not there. It's not like it's not there. It's there, but there are. If you're not feeling it, if you're not connected to it, if it's not to be found, it means that there's a lot of impurities, particulates, impurities in your fuel that is
Mm.
ratcheting down the performance. The same way that if you put bad fuel into a high performance car, it's going to destroy the engine. And so those impurities are all of the negative frequency emotions: fear, doubt, disbelief, judgment, skepticism, pessimism, cynicism, all of the negative worldview. That is what's gonna make passion kind of like, where are you? Or
Mhm.
I can't feel it. Um, and so it's finding that stuff in yourself, exploring, and uh, yeah, I think if you're doing it by yourself, I mean, like you said earlier, it's always nice to have someone that's like holding that space for you to see it clearly. Um,
Mhm.
but I know from my experience where I wanted to do it by myself, at a certain stage, that journaling and meditation are probably great ways to be self-sufficient with trying to understand your passion.
Mhm.
Um, but nothing beats having a soundboard, having someone to like bounce ideas and really see yourself that way.
Yeah.
And then the second question, timelessness and lack of focus. I love that. to me, the way that I feel it, once that judgment, that self-conscious judgment is alchemized, and I look at it like it's the practice and mastery of a tool. It's a craft. So from a linear way, it might look like you're bouncing between all of these things. And you'll know if it's distraction or if it's just your passion is like bouncing between piles. Because if you aren't judging it, over time, those piles will start to get built.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're judging it and you're saying like, I can't focus, nothing's getting done, then that's what's going to be created.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned in the timeless versus focus discernment is the more that you trust your passion. I think Bashar always talks about this in his channelings. Following your passion and highest excitement without expectation of outcome.
There's the magic. Just right there.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to know or figure out how it's going to unfold or how it's going to happen. You don't have to plan any of that. You just stay on that thread, and it will unfold itself. So powerful. Yeah. Some of the ways that I love to access that is through beauty. So I always, especially as a feminine, so feeling connected to my body and to my environment. And I love to cultivate spaces. It's one of my favorite things to do. And just following from moment to moment what feels like the most beautiful, pleasurable experience that I can have right now. And also listening to my body and hearing where she is guiding me helps me to navigate those ebbs and flows throughout the day, and just staying really connected into that. And then also, I love that you work with passion and imagination, because imagination is one of the primary ways that I access my own passion. So I just go into my visionary space and feel into, my grand visions, what actually brings me the most sense of passion and feeling turned on as a woman in my physical body. And I go to those visionary spaces, and then I charge up those visions. And I just go wherever feels most natural in the moment. And then I cultivate that and allow it to grow and expand. And eventually that becomes a lived experience in reality.
Visionary. Yeah. Love that. I love the way you put that. That's really good.
I'm feeling an interesting energy around timelessness and multidimensionality and focus as well, because there are moments when I'm completely timeless, but I also become omniscient. So it's like I'm seeing many multiple dimensions and timelines and realities simultaneously in the field of timelessness. So it's like a supreme coherence that's happening. So being able to see, imagining, I love to use the disco ball metaphor because it's so easy to give a visual to the holographic field. Just imagining a disco ball and all of those mirrors coming inward and filling that disco ball. And so you're the center point in the middle of that disco ball, and all those other refractions and reflections of light are other expressions of energy and consciousness, other people, other beings, other timelines, other potentials, possibilities, all of this. And having access to all of that simultaneously, to what our current field of perception is, and living in that quantum, timeless, eternal now. It's so open and expansive, but you're right here, and you're fully lucid and attuned to what's right here, but it's also expanded out at the same time. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. Like the theories that I have for ADHD is basically trying to fit multidimensional nonlinear energy into a linear box.
Well, there's that dimension of it. And I think that there's also a dimension of, if we don't allow ourselves to be fully present to the here and now, and our mind is disconnected from our body, and we're going through life that way, we're not fully taking in, receiving, processing, experiencing, enjoying, giving thanks for what's right in front of us. And so our subconscious mind goes into trying to process that, and we start firing in all these different directions.
Yes.
So a way to resolve that would to live more intentionally in the present moment, connected to the current reality, and to get really effective at letting go of past, future timelines, and just becoming aware more and more of when we're doing that, and just reminding ourselves, like guiding ourselves gently back into the moment. Okay, I'm just going to come back here, and I'm going to be connected to this, and
Yes. Yes.
Mhm. Hmm. So spring is coming up, and there's been a lot of shifts over this past, well, month, but these last 2 weeks in particular. So first, I want to tune in with you about what your overall experience has been in the last 2 weeks, and from just a really authentic, vulnerable space. What have you been feeling? What have you been experiencing in the energy? And what are you super excited about? What's the most exhilarating and alive for you shifting into the spring equinox?
Mm. 2 weeks. Definitely, there's been some purging. That's for sure. Clearing. It's interesting as you asked me this question subsequently from the last question, and maybe this is not what you want as the answer, um, but I feel inclined to express, because timelessness is so much my practice. It is getting harder and harder for me to assemble past.
To
So
to assemble it?
yeah,
You mean to recollect it?
yeah, to connect with the Jeremy that was 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
I like it's getting hard. Like I could I feel like it is more made up than actually connecting with 2 weeks ago, and can do pretty good. But it's so interesting that my perception is so in the day, in the moment right now, that that recollection is very difficult, because it's trying to create something that is not. I'm not an identity. I'm
Mm.
not that collection of time anymore. And but I can try to answer it. It's really been this awesome uh, layers of paradox. So on one hand, the last 2 weeks have been super accelerative, like fast.
Mhm.
But on the other side, on the other layer, the theme this year has been patience.
Mm.
And so those things have been running concurrently, where I can slip into this like judgment about like my business results aren't where I really want them to be right now, in terms of like how fast clients are, like the speed
Mhm.
of the business, because patience is such a big thing for me right now, of learning patience and embodying patience, of love, and that like the universe is calling this experience, because that's what I need to learn right now.
Mhm.
Versus on this speed layer, the days are flowing so fast, and they're like, the way I describe the relativity is it's like endless childhood summer.
Yes. That's so
Instinctive,
good.
yet they're just um
Ah.
it's it, I I'm probably like different. I don't I'll go through waves where I feel very much like the collective, um, and find like that validation of like other people are feeling the same thing that I'm feeling right now, um, and I can get into that, the astrology, the moon, the tides, the all of that stuff, and get in immersed in that. Um, but really, the last week or two, I've just been very much in the pocket.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that you just referenced it that way. So good.
Yeah.
Um, so this is fascinating. I just had a conversation with a dear friend of mine about this concept of patience and acceleration, or slowing down and acceleration. And in a quantum reality, patience is acceleration. Patience yields
Mm,
accelerated results. So the embodiment of patience, so where you feel that depth of relaxation and calmness and peace truly within yourself, but you feel solid and secure and grounded in your embodiment, you create a field that breathes. And in the breathing of your field, things can just, you
yeah.
just become so magnetic. And that's, I mean, that's, say the wisdom of the feminine, but it's really timeless androgynous wisdom that's, you know,
Hmm.
yeah, accessible. The masculine and the feminine are both present in that space because the doing and the being merge and become one action.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm. Witness from stillness.
Yeah, so it's like the patience is the acceleration, merging those two together,
Yeah.
and that I feel is a huge learning
Hmm.
for many of us in the collective
Yeah.
currently. So I have felt that. I just feeling
Yeah.
that learning, and spending so much time just with myself and loving it and cherishing it, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
taking
Yeah.
that
I love
space.
I love my solitude. Like when I can take space, it's
Hmm.
much, much, much nice. A lot of nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is such a gift.
What else have you been experiencing the last couple weeks?
Ah, a profound expanse of bliss. Um, just feeling light emanate and exude from me. It's just filling me from the inside and just beaming out into it. So it's that same, like when you said summertime, that feeling, it has felt like that, and being in the creative process and being really present to everything that I'm experiencing. And I have felt an interesting wave of, hmm, darkness as in emptiness that has been coming through too, where it's just this complete neutrality, this space of complete, so no, just not that there's peace connected to it or that there's bliss connected, there's not really anything, it's just this almost eerie in some ways neutrality.
Hmm.
And I have felt that. And then there's been moments of like intense, like surges of energy that have come through me. So I've gotten into just tribal mode, just dancing and singing and using my rattles and my chimes and just, just being in that primal element and writing a lot and creating a lot. And that has felt really lush.
Nice.
So just feeling drawn to the creative spaces, um, building and designing out my new course with my team has felt really exciting, and also a lot of acceleration in different areas of my life, events and retreats and things getting planned in an ultra fast pace, and simultaneously me in my own personal space feeling really slowed down and being internal and being connected like deeply to the moment. Aside from those projects, which we talked about the other night.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, so I have felt this whole beautiful kind of I feel, oh, it's just like ocean waves,
Yeah. I think,
of all the different things, and just being really aware and present to all of that, and allowing all of it to move through me and course through me and express. And um, it's been beautiful, and it's been empowering, and it's been illuminating. Um,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of insights. And also, I find myself being reminded of wisdom that I've integrated many times in different cycles of my life and my journey. And I don't know if this is the experience for you, but it's certain revelations or epiphanies, insights come through, and they'll start to anchor into my embodiment, and then there will be a next layer of that, and a
Mm,
next layer, and a next depth, and it just continues to grow in meaning. And and so I find that happening too. A lot of, you know, primordial wisdom that I've been aware of and integrated to for a long time, really finding new depths in my being, and really integrating to at new levels. So
yeah.
that's been fun too, to just have those awarenesses expand, just to have them expand, to see, oh, that's the next layer of that, that's the next, wow, and this is really powerful. And feeling the power of it too has been really fascinating. So it's so funny when I think about genius, I think about like the light genius, source, infinite intelligence, ineffable intelligence that we all are in truth. And then I think about the dark genius, where probably people like Tesla and Einstein were like in their, mystical havens for weeks on end, just like channeling and drawing up formulas and all of this. And I just see like lightning striking outside, and just being in that really electric, mechanical zone of things. So I've
Yes.
experienced that contrast too. So like the bliss being the illumination of the higher self, the expanded self, and me really feeling that like just emanate from my being,
Yeah.
and feeling the warmth and the radiance of that. And then also feeling the power of the electrical stimulation coming in as well, where it's just like all the mechanical insights of the universe, where there's not too much emotion involved in that space. It's just, these are the actual mechanics of the sacred geometry, and how this all works, and how creation is evolving and expanding, and just having those insights come through, at a more expanded level yet again than ever before, as it is, as we all continue to continuously grow
Yeah.
forever and ever. um
I
and
love that term, dark genius.
Mhm.
You used it. Ugh, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like the nice, beautiful, sunny day when you're outside and you're just enjoying the fresh spring air. And then, yeah, being outside in the middle of a tornado or a thunderstorm, a lightning storm. And another fascinating thing, as I was having all of these experiences, the town that I'm currently in hasn't had a tornado in almost 35 years. So since I was about one. And since I have been here, there have been two, and one of them was just a couple of days ago, and it was so beautiful. It was just, I was at so much peace. All the sirens were going off, and on the news, you're telling everyone, advising everyone to, go into their basement and go into and I actually just, because I could feel the tornado and I knew that it was here before they even announced that it was here, I was like, oh, there's a tornado. And, and I just actually went to the top level of my space, and I opened all the windows and just took it in, and just felt it and received the wisdom of the tornado and the storm. And so that's that kind of energy, where it could be fearful or it could be awe-striking beauty, depending on how it's perceived. Um, and so it's been fun to do that dance between those different realms over the past couple of weeks. And not be on social media as much has been really lovely as well. Hmm. Yeah, so all the things.
Mhm. Mm, it's fun listening to you.
Ah, well, thank you. I hope that. So one thing I love when I'm listening to other people share, like you, is I almost see a storybook unfolding
Mm-hmm.
in my mind's eye as they're sharing their experience. So it's like I go there with them and I get to be in it. So, yeah, I hope that I'm able to open up a little storybook.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, hmm. Yeah. So what's most alive for you right now? What are you super excited about coming up? And so you've been exploring all of these new technologies, and that has been fun and exciting for you. And what is the out manifest, actualized vision that's coming up that you're excited about?
Hmm. Expansion, expansion into building a team. Like
Mm,
already starting to happen over this month, marketing wise. But there are I want to start building a team, and I think that includes sales, marketing, uh, design, art, because we're currently looking at spaces for this location, this vision I have for. Um, it's like a hybrid between a co-working space and an incubator.
mm-hmm,
That's the so got an investor for that, and we're currently looking at spaces in my town. Um, and so that's kind of going full steam for for this year. So that's a big one. And then on the other side, with my comic book mania, which is getting reignited next week, as a we're I haven't like used a list at all that I built of like 500 people on the list. So we're gonna reignite that as a awareness for the incubator program. Um, so for the Mania comic franchise, I would like to call in some resources to be able to continue production
mm-hmm.
of the comic book, of films, dot dot dot, all the way. Like I want that to spin up and get the care and attention that it needs, the daily focus that it needs. That I feel like I'm alone and I won't do it. But yeah, that's I'm super passionate about it. But I just need to know what my zone is versus um, not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you gotten out your grand architecture maps and defined and clarified all of this?
So not. It's starting. It's unfolding. It's
Mhm.
unfolding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
fun thing to journal on might just be what you want, what the areas where you would love to receive support,
Mm-hmm.
and to identify that and speak it into being, and to allow some of that to start filtering into your experience. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And I have a very important question. Will the co-working incubator be a Willy Wonka theme?
Oh, you know it. It's called Factory or
Yes.
Lasman Factory. Lasman. We'll see. We'll see what the name ends up being, but Lasman Factory is the code name right now.
Mm-hmm. If
Yeah.
there is a chocolate milk river, I will be there. A chocolate river to dive into. I will be there.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, like I go big picture all the time, so it's the expanse of it that I see is each location all around the world would be themed for the like, for example, if it's in Hollywood, it'll be entertainment themed. If it's it'll be themed towards wherever it is.
Yeah. And where are you currently located again?
Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Oh, well,
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you're good.
yeah,
You're good.
yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, well, and that's beautiful because that can feed back into the expansion of of the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is the comic is a proof of concept of the space of
Mm-hmm.
the energy that I provide of uh, the empowerment of artists, first of all, but also just to bring an idea to reality. Um, because none of us had ever made a comic book before.
Mm-hmm.
The team of four that we assembled, um, and it was like we did it in flow of like learning and experimenting, and just the collaboration and the chemistry is just amazing in that space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just put out to anyone who listens to this, if they are kind of curious about this, that Mania, the franchise Mania, is a movement as well, or part of a movement. Like everything else is, there's all sorts of movements, but it's all part of like heaven on earth movement, like forward. Um, that the reason why I'm invested in it and I'm super passionate about it is Hollywood and like entertainment in general is very much geared towards mindless entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this is mindful entertainment to me. So it's carrying high frequency codes, new paradigm understanding about things, and the movement. It's a joining the movement, the neurodiversity movement.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
it's
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been diagnosed as anything, the autistic or ADHD or anything like that, but my super empathy can see it in myself, like all of these traits where I can feel all of it. And so I definitely consider myself to be neurodivergent. Um, and and so if anyone is called to be a part of this in any way, like I'd love to have a conversation. Um, because yeah, it's a socially conscious entertainment franchise.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And will you let people know where they can reach you?
Yes. So Facebook, I'm on Facebook, Jeremy Lasman, jeremylasman.com, or you can email me at, what did I set it as? Jeremy I just created all my email aliases last night. Yeah, Jeremy at jeremylasman.com.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love the visionaries. I've worked in beautiful groups with just brilliant creative geniuses, and it's wait, what's my email again? Wait, I have no idea which password. Here's like the list. Here's the list. It's so funny. That's beautiful. So I'll include the links to all of that in the comments and the caption for the video, so everyone can find you. And is there anything else that you want to tune into and explore tonight? We can go anywhere you want.
Hmm. Hmm. I'd like to know more from you about your discernment, if there is one, between abundance and superabundance.
Mm.
How do you feel do you feel the difference, or is it just a way to open up the floodgates even more than you like? Can you tell me, because my inner skeptic is very strong, that is the reason why I'm like the way I am. And so my inner skeptic is like, oh yeah, superabundance, just attach that, it's good marketing, like that's my cynic, like all of that. But I'm like, I want to believe in it.
Yeah. Well, superabundance is actually a very high acidic state of embodiment. And so, people have certain connotations and definitions and meanings that they've placed on all verbiage, truly.
Yeah.
Abundance to me feels tangible. It feels like something that we relate to, that which is tangible, and money, finances, resources, possessions, things like this. However abundance translates to us, to me, super abundance in the value of the message and the teachings that I share with my clients is that superabundance is the unification of the self with the all in living that embodiment. And so living as embodied abundance, embodying our divine genius, and exuding that energy into all dimensional facets of our life on a moment to moment basis. So in thought, feeling, frequency, word, and deed, and being super conscious of that and continuing to take that journey. So going through that, first embodying abundance. So shifting our inner landscape to align with that ultimate reality, that truth
Yeah.
of who and what we all are, programming ourselves, regenerating ourselves to be the full, wholesome embodiment of that, and then being an expression of that in the physical world, and then creating abundance and prosperity in our lives from the purity of that embodiment.
What flashed for me in understanding this is the you say so there could be a hero, but there's also superhero,
Hmm.
and
Well,
that's what I kind of feel with what you're saying is like there you can be a hero, like you can have experiences of being a hero, but there's a superhero. Like to be a superhero is like it's a whole different iconic level of power with it.
well, but it's the natural essence and expression of who and what we all are. So part of the regeneration isn't becoming better. It's just allowing all the programs and patterns that are built on top of our knowing of our own perfection to
Mm,
gracefully fall away
mm,
and be cleansed, and to allow the emanation of our superabundant self to
mm,
shine through, and to not in any way separate ourselves from abundance. So instead of placing abundance outside of ourselves, realizing that we are abundance and coming into that harmonic alignment and agreement within ourselves so that we can be lived abundance, we can experience abundance. So it's not ever something that's separate from us in any way. We're always harmonized to that. So it's an energy of havingness, of beingness, of knowingness. And from that space, your whole life becomes a flourishing expression of that wealth that we all inherently already are. But
yeah.
because of the ways in which we've been conditioned, oftentimes we perceive abundance as something that's separate from us, or something that we have to get, or even something that we have to create, instead of allowing ourselves to be it and resonate there, in which it becomes a natural expression of us, and it is automatically magnetized to us, and it's such an effortless process. So superabundance, we speak to the I am presence and the quantum self. It's that field. It's that truth, that light that is within all of us, the holographic coding that's contained in our DNA. And so then part of the embodiment experience is to allow that light to emerge, and having the tools and technologies and practices to allow that to happen. And as that happens, allowing grace and empathy to infuse us as we release all of those other layers. And as you're speaking to, identities that aren't, they're mental constructs and concepts or images of who we think we are, who we've been told that we are, who others think we are, and all of that, to, just transfigure into, the highest expression of self. So it feels like it's an embodiment. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's really true fulfillment too, because from that space of knowingness and resonance and harmony and accord, you're living, there's not anything else that you want or that you need, because you're living the abundance
Mm,
truly. So
mm,
whatever it is that you think the physical abundance will provide you, the feeling, the experience, you're living it, you're resonating it. And because you're resonating it, you're an Einstein. Match the frequency of the reality you desire, and you can't help but get that reality. Mm-hmm. Superabundance. So when I see superabundance, I see the sovereign self expanded into all dimensional facets of existence. So like an 8-pointed star,
Mm-hmm.
and having that light emanate out into the far expanse of beingness and
Yeah.
being in that superabundant embodiment. So not even just like I'm superabundant here,
Yeah.
but I'm superabundant here. So the space of the open heart, the
North,
space of trust.
north, east, west, south, above, below, within. What's the eighth?
Within, without.
Within, without. Okay, so you say okay. All right, gotcha.
I see, as within, so without is what I say. People say as above, so below. I say as within, so without, because it gives us all the power
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I recently have just been doing like a practice of north, south, or north, east, west, south, west, above, below, within, and it's been a really good compass of grounding.
Do you have a pentagram?
No, I don't yet. No, I don't have a pentagram. Yeah.
You have to make a circle, do an
Mm.
invocation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been delightful to connect with you as always. I love and appreciate you and your energy and your purity and your grace and your innocence, and even your skepticism feels pretty benevolent.
Took a while. It took a while to get there, but yeah, it's a knife. It's a knife. It's a like we talked about. It's a scalpel.
Yeah, yeah. Well, well, I mean, you know how that goes. You give the scalpel, you get that scalpel. So,
Yeah, yeah,
oh, so you can either build immense strength or you can soften. You can soften and just let that love come in. Hmm.
maybe someday down the road we can collaborate on a project together.
Yeah, that would be great. And in the meantime, I love having these discussions with you, and I would love to just stay informed on what develops for you, the podcast or um, the YouTube channel that
Hmm.
you're creating. Uh, yeah, just to be aware of how that's unfolding as
Yeah,
well would be great. And it has been, yeah, just an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on. So thank you for joining me.
thank you.
And thank you, everybody who tuned in and shared this experience with us, for joining us. We love you and appreciate you so, 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 so much. And yeah, just wishing everybody a marvelous weekend, and week ahead. And just a beautiful time to really melt into yourself and get to know yourself in all new ways before we enter into May. This is a beautiful time to go within and just do self exploration and get super clear on who you want to be in this next iteration, and what your values are, your philosophy, what means the most to you, what is important to you, and to really give that to yourself. So inviting everybody into that space of cultivation, receptivity over the next little while here, and knowing that you're fully and abundantly supported in that. So yes, much love to everyone, and thank you for coming on, and we'll connect soon.
Bye
All right,
bye.
bye.